Thank you, House Chair. House Chair, this can never be a normal debate. This can never be business as usual, as some of your benches are portraying it to be. Our country is under attack. Our girl child, our sisters are under attack. But this remains business as usual for the ruling party. House Chair, on behalf of the EFF and on behalf of millions of women in this country whose voices remain unheard, I would like to take this opportunity first to pass our deepest condolences from the benches of the EFF and the entire membership to the families of Uyinene Mkhwejana, baby Lee Jaggles, and the 14-year-old Janika Malo, who were all brutally killed by men in this country over the past week. Uyinene, a 19-year-old University of Cape Town student, was murdered by a 42-year-old post office worker. Lee Jaggles, a national boxing champion, was killed in cold blood by a strangled policeman boyfriend who also shot and murdered Lee's mother. Janika Malo, a 14-year-old, was found in her grandmother's place in his park here in Cape Town with her head slashed and her brain leaked from the right side of her face. She has been raped before she was murdered. Every time we are confronted with such brutality, we focus on the right, because here sit men and women who claim to be in government, who claims to be in power, yet our daughters, our sisters, died in their hands. What type of government are you leading? What type of country are you portraying to the outside world? These young women join a list of thousands of other women who are raped, beaten, enslaved, emotionally molested, and brutally killed by men in this country. The perpetrators of these vile acts are likely never to pay for their sins, because our criminal justice system is fraught with inefficiencies. They remain largely unknown in deep rural areas under the leadership of patriarchal feud lords who call themselves traditional leaders. Such cases remain cold cases. Under your watch, you continue to empower such leaders, yet they treat our people like that. They walk in fear as they attend classes at universities, because behind the face of the person they call a lecturer lie an unrepentant rapist and a killer looking for an opportunity to pounce on yet another victim. They even worship their chosen God in fear, because behind the veil of priesthood may be a heartless monster who preys on women in the name of the Lord, as Cheryl Zoni tragically found out. For many women in this country, a simple journey to the post office, a short drive to the gym, a visit to a beloved uncle may very well lead to a bloody termination of their lives. There is nowhere to hide for women in this country. Regardless of the socio-economic positions one may be in, all women are targeted as prey for the deeply violent men who feel entitled for the women's bodies. We can no longer continue as business as usual. We can no longer fold our arms as lawmakers in this country. A number of things must be done, legislatively and operationally, to rid society of deeply embedded hatred for women. We need to enforce education against patriarchy and sexism, complemented by the legislation to protect and promote women's liberation and the close monitoring of the implementation thereof, in order to realize a real women empowerment in society, within the families and workplace. The EFF has urged time and again that gender-based violence is reinforced and even sustained by deplorable general condition of our people. Therefore, a key to female emancipation is emancipation of all. We must therefore recognize that the structural violence of the ghetto produces violence and has now become normalized in society. Special attention must also be paid to crimes committed against those who sex differently. We must amend the Criminal Law Amendment Act and existing legislation to include harsher minimum sentences for corrective rape, specifically on crimes committed with hatred in general. We also need to amend the Sex Description Act and related legislation to ensure that the Home Affairs Department expedites ID alteration application for transgender application. Women have suffered most of the neoliberal realities of the past 25 years. The vicious cycle of triple oppression based on race, class, and gender has not been broken for Black women in particular. The EFF recognizes that while patriarchy and sexism are pervasive in our society, it is Black women who suffer the most from gender-based violence. Up to now, intervention for dealing with violence against women have been superficial, half-hearted, and based on the wrong undermining of root cause of the vulnerability of women. Across all party lines, it's time for women to rise and say, this has gone too far, and it cannot go on any longer. The question is, are you in the ruling party? From the benches of the EFF and the entire membership of the EFF, we can never fold our arms. This has to stop. But we need the buy-in of government. We need the buy-in of those in charge of government to say, indeed, we are in. Thank you,
ma'am.